Hi there folks, my name's NovaWing24 and welcome to Wargame Airland Battle. So this is the sequel to the earlier Wargame European Escalation by Eugen Systems, and if the predecessor is anything to go by, this is going to be a fantastic game. So, what's the Wargame Airland Battle, you may ask? So essentially this is a new generation of real-time tactical simulator or real-time strategy games. Now this works very similar to other titles such as World in Conflicts and Ruse. Ruse also made by Eugen Systems as well, where you don't so much have a base system, which was in Ruse, but you've given away with the base idea and the actual resourcing per se, so you're not mining Tiberium and you're not mining minerals or anything silly like that. You're relying instead on reinforcement points to actually build up your armed forces. Now you go into battle choosing a deck, which we'll get to in a little bit later, and essentially you bring your units into battle. Now Wargame Airland Battle is set in the 70s and 80s, so to actually sort of give a alternate history kind of idea. Now its predecessor, Wargame European Escalation, was set similar time frame, also in the 70s and 80s. So you may ask, what's the difference between its predecessor and this one? Well, quite frankly, it's got aeroplanes in it, and for me that's an automatic win. So what was noticeably absent from the first game was the fact that the air support was limited to helicopters, and that was it. Now in Airland Battle they actually have brought in aircraft. So let's have a quick look before we get into some gameplay. Let's have a look at some of what's available. So we'll go into our armories there. So the armory actually allows you to see every unit that's available in the game. Now there's over 800 units available, 828 to be precise at the moment. Now these units range across both sides, so NATO and a Warsaw Pact factions, and the various countries within each of those factions. And we've got your various different types of units, ranging from the logistics, so your sort of command vehicles, supply vehicles, and forward operating posts and things like that, through to your infantry. Infantry specialised from anti-tank to just your general infantry. You've got your combat engineers or your flamethrower troops, you've got normal infantry, you've got special forces as well as anti-air. And obviously with the addition of aviation units in this game, anti-air becomes a very, very important thing to have. And you move on to your support roles. Now your support roles cover things like your anti-air, your artillery, field mortars, and such like as that one. Your anti-air is split into two main categories. You've got your missile type anti-air, and then you've got your guns. So your high rate of fire stuff. Some, like for example this Tunguska here, actually combine both, so you get the best of both worlds. Now within that they then derivise them later, but we might get into that in a little bit later, or maybe in another video. So of course you've got the traditional of every real-time strategy game ever created, tanks. So people love their tanks, and tanks, as powerful as they are, in this game really can suffer to terrain and other units. And of course you've got the eyes of your army, so your reconnaissance type units. Reconnaissance units again divvied up into tracked, air, and infantry. So you get your tracked type, or your wheels, such as your little jeeps and stuff like that, and it goes through to your infantry, and then through to, you've also got airborne recon helicopters. So if I can find one to quickly show you, where's the little links in the Kiowa gone? They're in here somewhere, I swear they are. Here we go. So we've got something like the Kiowa, the CH-136 from Canada. And your vehicles. Your vehicles are a category which are almost like support category. Your vehicles consist of anything that's anti-tank or anti-infantry, across a variety of different ideas, or even just transport vehicles. So you've got things like your transport trucks, you've got tank destroyers and tank destroyer prototypes. You've got missile armed vehicles, both armoured and unarmoured. So there's a few jeeps and things like that in here as well, simply armed with a recoilless rifle or armed with a rocket launcher on them. So something like your little American Jeep here with a tow missile strapped on the back. Here he is, that tow thing swinging through his face. That's always a little bit of a graphical glitch. Gotta love that. So then you've got your helicopters, which, as I said before, were the mainstay of aviation in terms of its predecessor, European escalation. And you've got your light gunships, your heavy gunships like the Apaches, transport aircraft again, and so on and so forth. And then we have my personal favourite, and why I love this title so much. You've got aircraft, and so many aircraft there are too. So the models overall are fairly well detailed, and I actually just while I'm here, we might go into one of my slight gripes with the game. Now, these models, as you can see here, are quite impressively detailed. You've got markings that are accurate to the time period, you've got nice weapons models there as well, and just overall just a very nice thing. Now, obviously this is an A10, pretty hard to get an A10 wrong, because, you know what, it's a pretty iconic aircraft. But let's just go down, let's scroll down here, where are we? Alright, so, we've got here. Alright, so, Harriers. Now, so the Royal Air Force and Royal Navy, through the British Aerospace Harrier. So, we've got the Harrier GR1 here, and yep, you know what, that's right, that's a Harrier GR1, alright. Had the pointed nose with the pitot tube at the front there, fairly squat, fairly stocky. You got the outriggers for the undercarriage, for the stabilising wheels on the edge there. Yep, no, that's right, that's a Harrier GR1. So let's go to the Harrier GR3, so a bit more expensive to deploy, a few extra weapons, bit of an upgrade. Cool. What? Sorry, wait, what? Let's go back to the GR1 for a second. No, that's a GR1. That is not a GR3. A GR3 does not look like that. The GR3 had a far different nose section. It had an integral laser rangefinder and targeting mechanism. So it gave this long snout on its snub nose on the front. And that is not a GR3. Okay, well, they got one wrong. Let's see if they got the GR5 right. And we've got the same model again. So the GR5, the outriggers are in the wrong place. The outriggers should have been further in because it had more hard points and could carry more ordnance. And again, had a completely different nose to that one. It didn't have any kind of radar in it, so and the pitot tubes were moved. So, as accurate as some of these models are, some of them really, really aren't. So, Eugen, if you're watching this, love the game. Well, we'll get to me showing that off, but I do love what I've played so far. But can we just get some of the models a little bit more accurate? You've just let yourself down. You've got some amazingly detailed models, and then you let yourself down with this? Jeez, come on, guys. Anyway, but I digress. So, slight thing, I know it's cosmetic, but you know what, for a game that's overall what I think is pretty damn good quality, that really kind of lets it down. Oh, we've got another one there. So, for anyone who knows, the Eagle, yeah, that's a two-seater, not a single-seater, the Strike Eagle. Yeah. Anyway, okay, moving on. Alright, so we've got lots and lots of aeroplanes to choose from. When you're checking through the armory, it's a good idea to read these stats. Become more important later on, especially when you start playing multiplayer. Alright, so that's a quick view of some of the 828 units that are available in this game. So, oh my god, so many units to choose from. Alright, okay, let's jump back out of that. Alright, so from your main menu here, so you've got your traditional sort of options there. So the options menu's quite extensive as well, especially for a real-time strategy game. So you got your basic gameplay stuff. Fire and building, can I make a suggestion, guys? When you do play this, leave this set to no, because the only real buildings in this one are forward operating bases, and you really want to capture those. You don't want to destroy them unless you absolutely have to. Alright, okay. English, it does support a range of languages as well. though apparently mine's set to English only, but I know you can change language in that one. Alright, so what else we got here? So your interface. Now this one here is the icons. So this is how your units appear on the map and on the heads-up display. Look, it is up to you how you'd like to do it. Bit of a fan of this kind of stuff, so I do like to have the actual NATO symbols, but you can choose your more traditional, like your RTS, real-time strategy, just gaming type ones if you're into that. But the NATO one gives it a bit more of a cool feel, if you will. But again, up to you. Do it. So you can change the size of the HUD, the mini map, and things like that. Production menu, so this is where you keep your reinforcements open. I personally like to keep it open unless I want to close it. Just makes it a bit easier for me to choose units and bring them onto the field. Right, your standard sort of... you got your standard sort of audio set up there. Controls, so this is all your shortcut keys. If you are going to be serious about playing your multiplayer, you might want to learn at least some of these keys. There you go. And then we'll go your traditional video ones, so all your different graphical things to make it look really good or really not so good, depending on how you want it to run. But quite frankly, guys, this is a beautiful game, and yeah, if you have the chance to run it in really high res, please do, because it is just absolutely amazing. Alright, so let's get out of here. Alright, so gameplay. Gameplay is divided, obviously, like most games these days, into your single player and your multiplayer. So your multiplayer offers a couple of different options. So with your multiplayer, you do your normal game sessions are running. Your game sessions run with anywhere between 2 to 8 players, and you can essentially choose from 3 type of game modes at the moment. So let's go through here. Let's just, because we don't want to join it, but I'll just quickly show you. So this one here, you've got 3 type game modes. So your destruction, that's basically your normal deathmatch kind of style. So essentially you attack each other and kill each other until such times as somebody reaches the required victory points to win. Each of your units' deployment points is how many points that your opponent will be awarded if they are destroyed. So it is always worth it to preserve your units as well. Siege mode. Siege mode is a very interesting one, especially when it was in European escalation. Essentially, siege mode is that one team starts, as it says in the description, with a lot of income, but no way to bring on reinforcements. So what you start is with it, unless you capture a spawn point. Economy. Now, economy is an interesting one. Economy is one that, to be honest, I'm still wrapping my head around. Economy essentially works out that you start with the units, you go through there. I think I might have to close this game. All these people think they're going to start a game in a minute. Economy essentially starts with your command points. You need to gain your command points, but not only gain them, you need to save them. So there'll be a target amount of command victory points that you need to, or command points that you need to save up. Once you've saved that, and the deposit team that gets there first wins. When you deploy units, that comes off your saved points, obviously. So the idea, essentially, what I found is in the couple of games I've played, is that you establish a strong defensive line and then just hold the line and hope that you've got enough there to actually defeat your enemy, and minimize how much stuff you pull in. So it makes for some very interesting tactical decisions that you have to do. So that's an overview of multiplayer. You've got a variety of maps available through that one there. Now, I'll just close that one there. There we go. Now, one of the cool things that they have brought in with Airland Battle is the ability to do 10 vs 10 matches. Now, 10 vs 10 matches are pretty much as big as they get. There is only currently one map, which is Ragnarok, and these servers are actually hosted. So instead of being a peer-to-peer based system, which the rest of your multiplayer servers are, or not servers, they're just maps, peer-to-peer. Your 10 vs 10 is actually hosted servers. You go in, you use Eugen Systems servers to actually fight through it. You go through, fighting has a maximum of 1 hour. Unless your team reaches the required victory points first, but otherwise it's 1 hour is the maximum game length time. This makes for some epic backup battles. I was fortunate enough to actually be in the beta, because I did pre-order it because I knew it was just going to be that cool. Played a couple of the 10v10 matches, and it is a lot of fun. Seeing the amount of ordnance and stuff just flying around the map is just cool. Like, this game looks awesome as it is, but seeing on a 10v10 is pretty awesome. So when I get together with a few other guys, we might broadcast a 10v10 match a bit later on. But again, this is a first bit of a hands-on now that it's actually released, so just giving a bit of an overview at the moment. Of course, they've also got a ranked game, so they do have a ranked system as well. Hopefully Eugen Systems will be offering tournaments like they did with European Escalation. So we're really looking forward to seeing some of those. You got your traditional replays as well, so you can save your games that you play, so it's always a good idea to save a few of these and just learn from the games. If you get beaten, then look at your opponent's tactics, look at what you did, and learn. I'll be honest here, guys, I love this game, but I'm not that good. I'm really not, and I've got a lot of learning to do. So I'll probably be starting a new series soon, which will be watching me go from how much I suck to actually being able to hopefully eventually be somewhat decent with the aid of a couple of friends on here. But that's upcoming in the future, so stay tuned to the channel for that one. So with the multiplayer, folks, what you get the choice of, instead of commanding all 858 units, or well, at least your faction's units anyway, what you have to do is you have to make a few hard choices. So what they have instead is they have what's called a deck system. Now, the deck system, for anyone who's ever played customizable card games or anything like Magic or anything like that, you're probably going to know all about it. But for those who didn't, well, a deck basically is the idea of you choose the units that you want. Now, you may get some bonuses if you choose certain specialities, and then you break those in, you take those together and you take them into battle with you. Now, the game comes preloaded with a selection of decks, essentially one for each of the nations. Goes through here, so you can see there's a British one here. Have a look at that one. There you go. It gives you all the British units, and that's all you have to choose from. Now, you can see here each deck has a different value. Now, what it has is that you initially, when you're creating a deck, so we'll go through, you choose your faction. So let's go through. Let's just do NATO, because everybody loves NATO. So let's go through. Let's call this one the YouTube deck. Alright. Now you can just go ahead and just go through to create, and that allows you to then choose any unit from the game, with the exception of prototypes. So some of your units are actually defined as prototypes, so they can only have select ones in your deck, or select ones from certain nations have them. So we want to show you these other bonus options first. So with your bonus options, now you can choose it to be a national deck, which means that you can only choose units from that nation's armory. Now this can carry some good points and some not so good points. So let's say, for example, we choose the US deck, so you can only choose US units. Now you unlock your prototype units, so your prototype units include things like your F-117 Nighthawk stealth bomber. It includes I think is the Raven in there? No, the Raven's a standard unit. It gives you a range of prototype units. The Apache, for example, the Apache gunship, that's a prototype unit. You know, so that's cool. So you get access to the more powerful units. Now, but you only get the one extra activation point. Or let's say you choose, say, maybe a smaller, less militarily equipped country. So let's go with Canadians. So Canada gets an additional 9 activation points. So we'll go through and we'll show you what these activation points mean. But for now, let's just go through, let's just choose, and we can choose any nation that we like. So we won't have the prototypes, but we can choose whatever nation we like. Now your types. Now your type of deck is the type of units you have. Each unit can be included in certain decks, and so certain decks that it can't be used in. So if you go through all, yep, you can attach whatever you like. or if you want to, let's say, focus on a tank rushing type deck, then you can go through for an armored deck. So essentially any of your units of type tank have an extra XP rating. So as units gain XP, they get faster and better and shoot straighter and all that kind of fun stuff. But they also cost you one less activation point, so you can put more out. But there's always a downside to any positive. You're restricted, so you have less infantry units available. Now, being the aviation fan that I love, that I am, as those of you who've seen all my flight videos will know, I like my air ones. So for me, often leave the air assault decks, so I get to have the more helicopter gunships in there. Or alternatively, I can look at something like a para deck, where your infantry are less, or where are we? Organized? One of these just gives a plain advantage. Maybe it only depends on an actual national deck. Well, there you go. Well, there you go. They may have actually removed that one. So, then your era. You got your eras here. So your eras then again restrict your units based on their service entry date. Now, if you go with category B, so anything that you choose must have an in-service date before 1980, you get a 40% availability to the units that you do select. So you can bring more stuff with you. If you go to something as in pre-1975, then you've got 80% increase. So again, less powerful unit, but you get to have a larger quantity of them. And these units, because they're the older units, they're often a lot cheaper, so you can actually put a lot more on the field for the same kind of money. So it can be some very interesting strategies. I've played against a couple of people who have very effectively used the pre-1975 decks. But yeah, it's all about unit and resource management, something which I'm still learning. Alright, okay, let's go through and create. Now, so let's have a look. So you got your logistics, so as we've gone through, remember where we just had a quick look through the unit types before in the armory. Your minimum requirements is you've got to have at least one command vehicle. So let's go through, so let's just pick, because the French is at the top, so we can have a little French Jeep. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this, guys, is because there are already some really great YouTube videos out there on how to create some great decks and how to get a balanced deck and how to get decks that work for you. But it just gives you an idea that you buy your units, now they cost you, so you got activation points in here. So because I haven't chosen any specialities, I've got the space 33 activation points. Now, as you can see along here, yeah, it costs me 1 activation point, one, but if I keep going up, the more units I buy in a single track, the more activation points it costs me. So of course, if we want to go with all the aeroplanes, we go through, so let's throw the Thunderbolt in there. Let's add some of those really bad looking Harriers. No, they got that one a bit more. They got that one closer to being right. Still not quite right, but anyway, we'll forgive that one for you, Eugen. Now you'll notice here you've got the numbers down the bottom. So the numbers is how many you actually bring every time you buy one of these. So your Thunderbolt has brought me 2 onto the field, and the Harrier is what we want. Now, what you can also do is, let me have a look here. Where are our Starfighters? Okay, let's have a look at this Canadian, so the Starfighter, for example. Also, by the way, Eugen, that's a Royal Air Force roundel, not the Canadian. They didn't actually use that. When they had the roundel, they had the blue outside with a red maple leaf in the middle. Just saying. Anyway, now I can either use just a basic entry level unit, and I get 3 of them, or I can only get 2, but I can have them more skilled as soon as they come on the field, so they don't have to earn their combat upgrades. They've already got them in place. So there we go. Put a couple of those. Let's go through. So as you can see, as I'm buying more and more, it's costing me more and more. So it does reward you for having a balanced deck, and it will penalise you for focusing too heavily on one thing. And as I said, when we do some more gameplay videos a little bit later on down the track, you'll be able to see what happens when you focus too much on one side, one of these tracks, and not enough on the others. So that's the quick and dirty overview of the deck system and how it works. As I said, anyone who's ever used or even knows anyone who's played customizable card games, then you're going to know already all about this already. But this is a really, really cool little feature. one thing that it has revealed that I'm not sure 100% sure if I agree with yet, because it said only games only just coming out. Now, the predecessor European Escalation had a command point unlocking system where you would go through the game, and you would, as you raise your experience level, as you won more games, earn more XP, as you unlock certain objectives and certain missions, you go higher, you'd get command stars. Command stars you would then use to actually unlock your units, so you could use them in your multiplayer, not only in your multiplayer deck but also in your single player. One of the really cool things I love when I played Escalation a fair bit, I'd go through, I'd finish the campaign, and then once I actually finished the campaign, then built up my XP doing a few multiplayer games, and eventually unlocked all the units, I actually went back and played the single player campaign again. It actually almost makes it a whole new way of actually playing the game, because suddenly you've got access to all these high-end units and things like that you didn't have before. So that has now been removed, to actually enable all 828 units to be available to everyone as soon as you start the game. I'm of two minds at the moment about whether that's a good thing or not. I think that some of the fun that was in it, to actually playing the campaign without having access to all those high-end units and then replaying it with the access to those high-end units, was one of the sort of cool, get a bit more replayability. But with the campaign now the way it is, and the way the fact is very much a online. Look, there's somebody even asking about command stars up there now. You should be watching my video. So having looked through that, not having that option now, and giving you the fact that you've got all your units unlocked at the start of the campaign and as soon as you start, well, I partially see the point, but I also think it removes some of the fun stuff about it. But hey, that's just my opinion. We'll see how it plays out, and maybe they might change their mind for any patches or features in release. I don't know, but let's find out. That's an overview of the multiplayer, so now let's have a quick look at the solo. Now, the solo campaign in European Escalation was a series of 4 campaigns. They eventually added in a 5th campaign as part of a DLC later on. What was one of the really fantastic things about that is you had the idea of permadeath, which I've noticed is coming in a lot more into gaming these days. So you get your permadeath idea in the form of a persistent battalion. Now, with Airland Battle, they've changed the idea a little bit. Instead of being a linear story, you're now presented with a scenario, and you fight out the scenario based on your choices. Before we dive in one, because I do want to show you some of the cool features that are in there, just want to show you, so you do get your basic tutorial, just an idea of actually how to use units, how to call reinforcements in, the advantages and disadvantages of using certain units in certain scenarios. You sort of get introduced through to your different unit types. You start with just tanks, add in reconnaissance units, add in infantry as well as tanks and recon, your command points, and actually controlling map sectors to actually bring additional reinforcement points in, and then adding in air power as well. So tutorials, if you played RTSs before, you'll be able to get the grasp of the ideas pretty damn quick. Not a bad idea just to sort of sketch through and just see how you go with these as well. A bit of fun. Alright. So what have we got here? So you also got, of course, your normal skirmish against your AI. So you can sort of just try a game. These games, having a skirmish game against AI is always a really good idea, especially if you want to test a deck out with how you actually build those things, and actually if you want to test an idea just against a computer before you actually put it against the real world, yeah, definitely give it a go. But nothing beats an actual experience with a game online, and there's plenty of people online, guys. Always a great game to be had. Oh, sorry, excuse me again, guys. Got a bit of a frog in my throat today. Alright, so let's have a quick look at the campaign. Now the idea of having these sort of responsive campaigns is a dynamic type campaign is something that I don't mind. I think it's a pretty cool idea how it responds to actually what you do, and what you do can affect not only the immediate next mission, but can also actually impact you further down the track as well. So I'm quickly going to start up here. We'll start up there. We'll just want to show you the second campaign now. The second campaign actually introduces a couple of extra things that the first one doesn't. I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of what it looks like. So let's just jump into this one, and we'll go launch. Okay. So we've got the usual thing, yep, so this just goes through a description of what's happening, what the political scenario is around this one. So this idea is essentially that Pact forces have taken Scandinavia, and that you need to seize the 3 capital sectors in less than 12 days. So you start with day 0 and you go from there. Now you can actually alter the AI to how good they are when you're playing against them. You can also actually play this campaign, these campaigns online against a human opponent. And again, it's only just started, so I haven't actually tried this yet, but I think that could be some interesting, it's a bit more of a challenge as well, I think. So I just want to quickly launch this one so I can show you some of the cool features of the campaign, and also some of my opinions about a couple of things that I think could possibly have been done better. So, read all that, yep, we know what our brief is. Now, balance of power. So, balance of power indicates when you're actually playing the engagement, the real-time tactical elements of it, and not the turn-based side. Will actually show you what you need to achieve in terms of victory points and things like that. The balance slightly favouring NATO essentially means that you have to achieve less to win the match, as opposed to your computer opponent. Now this goes through the days when you can expect to see reinforcements. So go through here, so we expect to see reinforcements over the course of the next 5 days, including day 0. It also shows you when you expect your enemy to actually bring extra units in as well. So it was a good idea to make a note of this so you have an idea of what's about to come at you. So let's launch this one. I'll show you the interface. So these are instead of big complex CGI scenes and cutscenes and things like that, Wargame definitely continues this seemingly increasing trend where they're focusing more on just using a bit more of using text to actually explain the story rather than big fancy shiny images. Fortunately they didn't skimp on the in-game visuals, but they replace it with these ones. So we've got some ideas that weather conditions of North Atlantic deteriorating, so some of those reinforcements we're expecting may not get there on time. Okay, so this is the map as it's set up here. And moving around your map, you got your traditional zoom in, zoom out. You can go to the edge or just use the WASD. WASD is also going to be how you move around the map once you're in the real-time tactical as well. Alright, so your turns, so the orders that you add in are issued at 6 AM every day. Once you click the send orders button down the bottom here, essentially the scenario of the next 24 hours will play out. If combat begins during that period, it'll stop, it'll focus on the combat. They can go through, so we'll quickly jump into one of those. Now up here you got your reinforcements, or political points as it's termed in the larger overview type things. So we'll jump into that one. You can see what we got. Okay, so you have a range of strike options available. So these options will give you things like you can bombard a unit on a coastal tile. Very bit civilization-esque, isn't it, really, with that kind of idea? You can send such a reconnaissance, so you can see what's in a enemy battle group or an enemy sector, see if there's anything there. You can launch commandos to go and cripple or sort of annoy your enemy's units. Camouflage, you can actually protect any of your forces. So your forces and enemy forces are portrayed by these little symbols, like little armoured vehicles here. Zoom in and have a look at him. So we've got a British infantry brigade, shown by an 432 there. Alright, now, there's a couple of other things to notice on these maps as well. So your maps obviously all have sectors, so these strategic sectors. Now, a aircraft icon means that you can airlift troops in as well. So some of your troops, so we'll show this in a second, have different types of ratings. So some are marine based, some are air based. So they're the ones. So air based ones can be deployed on any map which has the airfield symbol, and your marine ones can be landed on anything with a harbour on there as well. Harbour essentially means that any combat group can deploy there. Your amphibious ones can land on anything as well. So now, you remember that our objectives this one is seize Oslo, seize Copenhagen, and seize Stockholm. Right, cool. So we got our ships. We've got a couple of fleets there. On that one there. Oh, I've got Zola having a chat to me. I'll catch up with Zola in a minute. And we've got an enemy fleet there. So you can deploy these things here. Now we can go through here. So at the moment, as you can see, we're on day 0. Now we can see that on day 1 we're expecting to see the 4th Marine Assault Brigade and the French 9th Marine Division coming in. Day 2 we're expecting to see some Germans and some Americans arriving. Day 3, day 4, all that fun stuff as well. Alright, so these points here, these political points, is how we actually deploy these brigades, and also if we want to deploy any of these. Now what we might do is let's quickly deploy something somewhere. Oh, I feel like I think I might put the 3rd Commando Brigade. They can go ashore. Eventually I need to get to Oslo. I'm going to put them here first, I think, secure the airfield. So, that's where I'm telling them that they're going to go, so soon I'll get that one. Now, I'm also going to move my 1st Infantry Brigade. They can engage these East Germans here. Oh, and there we go. Right click to do that, and we're good to go. Okay, so that's fine. So let's just go this one, because what we're about to do is we're actually about to get to the part which actually kind of annoys me a little bit. So let's go send some orders. Alright, so we top the timer starting. Alright, so here we go, landing there, and as you can see that there is a enemy unit there. Now the option is surrendering. I don't want to, but I'll lose the battle group. I'll lose the 5 political points, so I don't want to do that. I want to launch the battle. Now you can also have a quick preview of the battlefield that you're about to attack. Sorry, that you're actually go back to here, so you can make a decision if you did want to withdraw or something like that. No, we want to go ahead and attack, so let's launch the battle. Alright, so this is just your normal, as I said, traditional gameplay. This one is a siege mode type one, just the same as you do in the multiplayer. Now this is the beginning of where I do start to have a couple of issues with how this is all set up for single player. Now essentially the single player campaign becomes a series of multiplayer skirmish missions, which you just simply complete, go through the motions of, and get done. Now I'm just going to quickly do this because I just want to skip to this because I want to show you this is the part that actually really makes me annoyed. Now single player experience. Now I expect in a single player experience, if because I'm not online, I'm not playing against another human, it's just me and a computer. So I expect I'd be able to save at any point. So I just want to do this. Let's launch that one. There's no save button. What the frack? This is not an online game. This is a single player. I am playing the single player campaign. I want to save this and come back to it later. What the hell? Eugen, what were you freaking thinking? This is a single player part. Yeah, okay, obviously if I'm playing against a human opponent in multiplayer, sure, no worries, no save button, that's fine. But this is me against a goddamn computer. What the hell? So that makes me annoyed. So that makes me really grumpy. But anyway, so there's my problem with that one. So if I had to go or something like that, I just have to surrender, Now if I do that, I lose my battle group. Which brings me to my next point. As you just saw, there was a little bit of a save thing there. So where's that save game if there's no save button, you might ask? Well, glad you asked. Let's go through. So, I can quit out. Yep. Exit. Yep. Save games. Okay, so what this does is it's essentially Iron Man mode. There is no custom saving. There is no, oh shit, I fucked up. So apologies for the language there, guys. I only want to go back and I want to change that decision I just made. Nope, no dice. When you make a decision, the decision you made is final, which, yeah, is cool. Okay, it's got your permadeath idea that's carried over from the last one, and your persistent battalion, which, as I said, does make a reappearance in this one. It's just you have multiple battalions this time. But the fact that I can't save at my choice, and if I need to get out, or if I need to suddenly get out of the game and go do something else, then I'm forced to actually go through it. Now, to be fair, I think they have tried to counteract that issue by making sure that each of these single player missions are capped at 20 minutes. They actually don't go on for longer than that. If you don't achieve your objective of either total destruction, wiping out all your enemies' command vehicles within that 20 minutes, or reaching the required number of destruction points within the 20-minute period, then it's declared a draw. So even if you're only 1 point short and massively thumping your opponent, if you don't make your target, then the game is declared a draw. And then what happens is the battle actually continues. It says the battle continues tomorrow, which is a kind of a cool feature. So you refight the same battleground with your same battalion, having lost any losses that you've felt, and then same with your opponent, and you get another chance to actually do that. So in games where you've only got so many days to achieve your objective, that can actually affect you a fair bit. So another thing to keep in mind. But anyway, overall, my impressions so far have been quite good. A couple of minor gripes, as you've just heard me say. But overall, this game so far has been really fantastic. And as I said at the start of the video, any game that includes aeroplanes in it is going to, any strategy game that includes aeroplanes as well done as this one does, is going to have my vote. Folks, well, so that's been my overall first impressions. Look, I haven't showed any gameplay as yet. Look, that is kind of deliberate. I do want to save the gameplay sort of showing off for a little bit for another time. I'll be doing some more videos with some friends of mine and presenting some more stuff to you. As I said, I intend on starting a bit of a new series of showing how much I suck and how much I hopefully slowly improve. So guys, overall, if you're looking for a fantastic and really well thought out and well made strategy game, especially one that does remove the tank rush strategies of other games, and also actually put some thought into what they do, and quite frankly is probably one of the best real-time strategy or real-time tactical simulators I've seen, especially since World in Conflict, and then guys, this is going to be the game for you. So folks, I hope you enjoyed this quick little review. As I said, it's a bit of a top level view, this one. We'll get on to some more detailed ones a little bit later on. But thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like, leave your comments down below. If you liked the video, let us know, and if you didn't, well, let us know why, and we'll go from there. Guys, if there's anything else that you want to see on the channel as well, please don't hesitate to let me know. And guys, thanks very much. I look forward to seeing you in the sky soon.